be the school spotlight. And I'm very privileged to announce that tonight's spotlight will feature our Junior ROTC program. As many of you know, this has been a long journey to get to this point, to be able to offer a program like this. Mr. Scott is nodding and smiling, and maybe only he and I know what that's about, but it really has been a long journey. And in working in conjunction with the U.S. Army, we're very pleased to have this program at Warsaw Community High School. I can tell you that the program really is under great guidance from two wonderful individuals. We have retired Major Fred Joselis, and we have retired Sergeant Major Mark Whitford. And I can tell you that these two gentlemen are leading our young people in the right direction. Today, Dr. Hintz, as often, made a drop-in visit at the high school. And we just happened to be walking down the hallway when roll was being called in that classroom. And it was just very impressive. And this group of young people, along with the direction of these two gentlemen, I really think it's changing the culture of our building. So I'll be quiet and very graciously turn it over to two wonderful gentlemen to talk about their program. Thank you.
Meeting board members, Major Joselis, Sergeant Major Whitford, is who I work with. To give you an idea of what happens on a daily basis on any given day, the first thing that the students do is they take charge of the class. They do that by going over, they take the attendance themselves, they recite the Cadet Creed, which they have to know by heart at this point in time. And the Cadet Creed embodies the values that, they're not just Army values, but they're values that will make them succeed in life. So they're leading the organization, and what they're starting to do is they're starting to learn to they're starting to be able to get confidence, and they're also, it's the follower leadership thing. So they're learning to be good leaders. They're also going to be learning to be, in the course of doing this, they're also going to be good followers as well. One of the things that I like about the program, and that I know the Sergeant Major's heard me talk about this repeatedly, is I like the sense of responsibility that it imprints on the program itself. We have, as students start going through it, we run the gamut of the range of students that run from golden spoon kids, and then we have the cadets that they're struggling. And to a certain degree, Sergeant Major and I, you'd think that sometimes it could be a hard thing to see this sometimes, especially some of the cadets that are struggling. But actually you can gain inspiration on it because somehow they're figuring this out, somehow they're pushing themselves through. And that's the thing that can be sometimes it's hard to see it, especially since I am a fix-it kind of guy. And that's the way I've always been in life. So it's hard to have them for less than an hour in a day and try to fix everything. But what we're starting to do is it's not just about us, it's going to be about them, so that they cohese as a group, as classes, and then so what they in the process do is they start looking out for each other beyond the 1 hour time limit that we have. So in that sense, we're presenting the best possible image that we can convey. We're eventually going to get that uniform, and when we get that uniform, they're going to have to be wearing it the entire day. And that's going to add a whole different air to them. It's going to set them up. It's going to make them feel more professional. It'll make it seem almost, if they start wearing it on a weekly basis, they're also going to start feeling a little bit more professional, even as they start doing interviews. It won't be going to an interview in my suit and tie or to a college interview or something. It won't be like that once every 3 or 4 months, and it'll be this occasion where they get dry mouth and everything else. They've worn a suit and tie. They're here. They know it. They have to have that professional appearance with us. They're learning to respect their peers. Sometimes we have our clashes. Everyone does. So they're learning to respect their peers. They're learning to respect their adults. Just this afternoon, I actually had a student in a gym class that wasn't mine that I actually had to remind him about the proper courtesies to a teacher that I had never met before. It's just part of it. It's me talking to them, interacting with them, even beyond me. I have to be professional also in how I conduct myself. We have 2 teams started up. There's a color guard team, and there is a drill team. The drill team is actually, we have a subject matter expert that is extremely, it's the greatest gift. Not few schools can ever claim to have one. So that team should be up and running pretty quickly. What we're trying to field really quickly is something called the J-Lab, Junior Leadership Academic Bowl. There's something going on currently at the high school where students are encouraged to get into something the equivalent of a Super Bowl that's academics. Well, the ROTC has their own as well. As this progresses forward, and as I know we're going to do better, even if it's next year, the benefits are it's going to, and this is paid for, it's the travel and other things. At this time, they're still being underwritten by the Army. But as the team progresses, it goes to a regional event, then it goes to a national event, which is in Washington, D.C., and the top finishers generally get scholarships at that point, some sort of scholarship grant. So that's where we are in teams. As for other teams, we want to have a fitness team, a rifle team, and other teams as well, but they're subject to either kind of fiscal constraints because we just don't, the Army gave us the basics for rifles, for instance, but the other stuff, the stands, target traps, all those other things that go along with it have to come down at a certain, we have to get to those at a later point. It's just realistic. We go for the close targets. Those are the easier ones to hit. One of the things that I tried to also get the students and cadets to get a sense of is I have a very strong sense of kind of a two-way door. I asked them when they first came in, I said, what are your expectations coming here? Some said respect, some said this. There were so many different approaches, and I said, that's a great expectation you have of me and the sergeant major. I went across, got everyone that I could, and went around the room. What are your expectations? And then they told me them, and I said they were all fair expectations, realistic expectations. And then I told them, you know what? I expect the same thing from you. You want respect? Well, you have to also give me the respect that I deserve as well. And that's, like I said, everything we're doing is trying to get them to think beyond just themselves and also get them thinking for the future as well. So they're calling the sergeant major, appropriately sergeant major. They're either calling me sir or major as we go forward. And for activities, like I said, we have these certain competitions we're doing. We're going to do some more community events as well. Support them not just with our color guard, but other things as well. At the end of the year, there's Junior Leadership Camp that's going to be in Camp Atterbury, Indiana. And it's an event where the top 10% of every program meet from about Indianapolis up to the north, all the way up through Indiana, and they meet at Camp Atterbury for activities that are fun, team building. They get to also interact with other students from other areas, and sometimes it's actually pretty eye-opening because they get to see students where they'd never meet these students before, and they actually probably will have a greater appreciation also of Warsaw and the high school itself. Probably the one thing that we have to get started up to maybe conduct business, to start doing things like the rifle team, is we have to get ready to start doing some sort of fundraising or booster club activities so that we can do things, because one of the things coming up really fast, our major, and I'm just talking about it, we have a battalion ball that is going to be around about March, depending on what we have funded, what we should do. We're fleshing the details out. We've just kind of it's in the idea stage right now. So we have a whole bunch of different approaches on how to do that. I mean, I've done it internally, and we've had them on the outside as well for my unit, and I know Sergeant Major's had some experience doing it probably both ways as well. So we're going to be soliciting their ideas actually as well, because they're going to help us out on planning, because from this point on, the leadership, everything starts taking off. We've got to have a staff. We're going to start fielding a staff that is going to support our activities and planning. We're going to have, and it'll mirror an Army organization. It's going to have an admin person, a plans person. It's going to have a logistics person, three key staff members, and they're going to take some of the things so that when I have to do things like when I can pay attention to getting trained as a range officer so that we can have a rifle range, it's because someone's taking something away from me that I can do that kind of thing. Same thing with the sergeant major. So I really didn't go through my slides that well. I apologize. You see, I'll try to forward over to the last one. There was a nice article that our Times Union reporter did here, and I'll kind of catch up. That's kind of a snippet right there from the great picture, everything else. Sergeant Major probably has a few things. I know he wants to tell you a little bit about parent-teacher conference, how that went with us. Both of us were in attendance, and he has actually a success story they'd like to share with you. And then, if you have any questions, to talk to some of the cadets.
I just briefly want to talk about some successes that we've already had, and as I was telling the superintendent, I don't really say it's necessarily us. A kid has to want to receive some of the things that we present to him. You know, it's a two-way street. But we had, we're close to 45 parents come and talk to us at the parent-teacher conference. And I'm not used to the parent-teacher conference. Where I was at, if I had 3 parents show up, that was outstanding. So we were busy all day, not much downtime, loved it. Great interaction with the parents, not one negative thing. And what I wanted to pass on to you was you had one mother who sat in front of us and cried, or had tears in her eyes. She kept choking up because her son was on his way to boys' school at the beginning of the year. And he's made such a turnaround that she just couldn't believe it. And like I told her, I said, well, that's credit to him, you know, that he is accepting this. But she said he's once again opening doors for us, and he's, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. And so we're just slowly working with the children over there to guide them as best we can. So that's definitely a success story. And enough about us. Do you have any questions for the cadets? Yes, stand up.
We have a cadet commander present. Cadet Abigail Appland is over here as well.
Please come up to the microphone. All of our cadets, please come up, and we may have some questions for you, and you may have some comments for us about how you like the program, what the program has done for you, how it's challenged you, what do you like about the program. This is an opportunity for you to share.
I'd love to know, I mean, what was your reasoning for signing up? I'd love to know that as well. Can you start off by introducing yourselves?